Hey guys, welcome back to the Here's the Deal channel. I don't know if you knew this, but on November 1st, 2021, it became illegal to record the police right here in my state, Oklahoma. If you record the police, they now consider you a criminal. Let that sink in and let's go ahead and talk about it. Roll the intro.
In pursuit of a Mazda heading south on 3 Points Road.
All right, let the title of this article sink in. I mean, really sink in. Oklahoma bill makes it illegal to photograph or film the police. Let's read it another way. Oklahoma bill makes it unconstitutional to exercise your constitutionally protected activity of freedom of the press. This, sometimes you wake up in the morning and you see things and you go, there's no way. This is an Onion article. This is a spoof. There's no way this is actually happening on the plane of reality, but it is. This bill made its way through the legislature, and with the signing of the governor of my state, Kevin Stitt, it has become a law, and it's the law of Oklahoma now as of November 1st, 2021. Filming, it's a criminal act to film the police during the course of their duties. It's a criminal act. You have committed a crime. If you try to bring transparency and accountability to people who call themselves public servants, you, in their eyes, have committed a crime. That's how disgusting this is. You're the criminal because you wanted to just turn the light of truth on and hold public servants accountable. The bill meant to protect privacy of government workers prohibits posting a video or photo of a police officer with, quote, threatening intent. And guess who gets to define threatening intent? Intent is determined by a judge or a prosecutor they're all working together. It's a big crime ring and you ain't in it. It's a big club and you're not a part of it. ACLU and other groups opposed the bill. HB 1643 was signed by Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt at the end of May 2021 and already did take effect a couple months back on November 1st, 2021. Back in February, Oklahoma legislators passed the second of two companion bills that would criminalize anyone who films and publicly posts a photo of police officers. And we're talking about if you include the name of the officer, where they work, what the infraction is, you've engaged in a crime, according to our Oklahoma legislatures. Determined to prove their support for law enforcement, Oklahoma state senators and representatives took a drastic step. The legislation would make it more difficult to hold public servants accountable for their misconduct so they can commit crimes on the job, as they call themselves, yours and my public servants. But as soon as you roll that film, as soon as you turn your video cameras on them, you become a criminal. State representatives unanimously passed House Bill 2273 out of the House Judiciary Criminal Committee. It makes a criminal out of anyone who intentionally publishes personally identifiable information of a law enforcement officer. That includes taking a picture of a cop in his uniform with his name badge on, such as a photo or a video with the intent to, quote, threaten, intimidate, harass, or stalk. And they will be the ones who will determine if you've threatened, intimidated, harassed, or stalked that officer. They'll be the ones. The bill would create a misdemeanor charge for the first violation and a felony for any further violations that, quote, causes, attempts to cause, or would be reasonably expected to cause substantial emotional distress or financial loss to the law enforcement officer or to the family, household member, or intimate partner of the law enforcement officer. Yeah, he cracked that guy's head open with the nightstick, and I recorded it, and all of a sudden, I'm the criminal. Yeah, the guy was actually handcuffed, laying on his stomach with his face to the ground, and the guy got on his neck and choked him out, and I recorded it. How come I'm the one in prison? Oh, and they gave the cop a medal because, he feared for his life. Notably, what the bill considers, quote, personally identifiable information mixes in the reasonable with the extreme. Along with the name, birth date, and address, it lists telephone number, driver's license number, social security number, place of employment, and mother's maiden name as items that would be banned from being made public by civilians. At the end of the list, it includes, quote, a photograph or other realistic likeness of the person. So it covers all the bases, mixing in the reasonable with the extreme. Who's going to put the cop's who cares who the cop's mother is? When you're out there filming cops and trying to hold them accountable and bring some level of transparency to it, do you care who the cop's mother is? Are you going to publish that on your video? No. But they're going to use that as a smokescreen and then add all the other things into it. Name, where he works, police department, badge number. They're going to consider that doxing probably. The article says it would seem obvious that social security numbers of any employee would remain private, which makes one wonder what the motivation was for including photos of any personal likeness. Historically and even recently, video footage has been one of the only reliable ways to hold law-breaking police officers accountable, and it has. It's been a watershed issue. It has exposed a lot of crime, and even with the video footage, it's still hard to prosecute a law enforcer. I mean, they can literally be like Amber Geiger and walk into Botham Jean's house, clearly the wrong apartment on the wrong level. She blew the guy away who was sitting on his couch eating ice cream, watching a movie, and she only gets 10 years and she's up for parole sometime this year. It's special treatment. It's special treatment for thee, but not for me. It's the big club. You ain't in it, so you don't get any of the perks of being in the big club. Senate Bill 6 is a companion bill with the same language. It passed the Republican-dominated Senate Public Safety Committee. Don't, you know, hey, I'm a Republican. I'm on Team Red. I'm on the elephant team, man. That's the right team. That's the moral team. These are the people who push this, and Democrats signed onto it. More than one advocacy group has come out against it. This lady, Cindy Alexander of Indivisible Stillwater, Oklahoma, said, quote, if the personally identifiable information specifically excluded name, place of employment, and a photograph, we would probably not oppose the bill. I think any bill like this that even comes close to violating the First Amendment freedom of press in the United States should be completely stricken. The person who authored that should be laughed at and probably imprisoned for treason. Quote, video is like an extension of our collective eyes, and we don't want our eyes blindfolded. Exactly. And that's what this is. That's what both of these bills do. That's what Kevin Stitt did. And any governor who would think about signing on to something like this, they're basically going, well, here's my legislative blindfold. You won't be able to see what public servants do anymore. You won't be able to hold them accountable. You won't be able to drag them into the light of transparency. But both Senate Bill 6 and House Bill 2273 ended up being used as cover for HB 1643, and I hate when they do that stuff. You know, if you're going to pass a bill and make it into a law, it should probably be limited to one frickin' page. 1, 2, 3 pages max, and only keep one topic on each and every bill that you're trying to pass. Don't pork barrel it in there. Don't obscure the language and stuff it into something that it's not even about that. Republican legislators sailed it through, and there was next to nothing preventing the governor from signing the new legislation into law. Why? Because that person, just like all governors and all politicians, aren't principled people, so they can't be expected to do the right thing. That's another, governors and law enforcers and judges and all these politicians have taken an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and then they turn right around almost every single time and become the very domestic enemies they swore to protect the rest of us against. Oklahomans may be used to watching the Republican-controlled legislature pass bills unfriendly to racial justice and equal rights, but it wasn't just Republicans who voted for the Senate and House versions of this new law. This time, Democrats did too. Months ago, State Representatives Jose Cruz and Jason Lowe, both Democrats, joined their counterparts in passing one of the former bills. Meanwhile, Senate Bill 6 also passed unanimously out of the Senate Public Safety Committee. The committee's only two Democrats, State Senators Kevin Matthews from Tulsa and Michael Brooks from Oklahoma City, both voted yes on the measure. This publication reached out to State Senator Paul Racino, who authored Senate Bill 6, and of course, his office didn't return a request for comment because they don't really view themselves as public servants who need to be held to account to the public for the things that they brought into being. We also reached out to every Democratic state representative and state senator who voted for these bills, but only State Senator Kevin Matthews responded. And he said that he no longer supported the bill and would vote no when it came to the Senate floor. Here's what Kevin Matthews said. My specific question was, does this include videotaping officers such as the GF incident? The author stated, no, it did not. Never believe a politician. So you got a politician asking another politician, hey, does this include videotaping? No, just believe me. Matthews said he and his Democratic colleagues voted out of interest of privacy and safety. He said they couldn't find any negative statements from the ACLU at the time. I bet the guy didn't even read the entire bill. Matthews said, quote, with the calls and emails, including yours, that I'm now getting about this bill, I will be voting no on the floor and debating against it. But the cat is out of the bag, so to speak, they say. Though several Democrats explained that their purpose for originally supporting one of the companion bills was to, quote, be able to negotiate changes, they were ultimately unable to change any of the language preventing citizens from filming officers of the state. So what bills and now laws like this one do is it creates a private, secret police state security force that's held accountable to no one and will not be transparent, even though they probably say on their letterhead, transparency is paramount. It says black people and other marginalized Americans already feel the deck is stacked against them when it comes to gaining justice. Just black people, just marginalized people, everybody, guys. I don't care if you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, it doesn't matter. Remember Daniel Shaver in the hallway of that La Quinta Inn begging for his life? And Philip Brailsford, nope, we're going to end your life because our lives were in jeopardy. We know you were just wearing shorts and a short sleeve shirt and you didn't have a gun on you or anything, but my gosh, we feared for our lives, so we had to end yours. White guy. What about James Boyd over there in Arizona? White homeless guy being terrorized by the henchmen of the state and their frickin' police dog. Dead. White guy. So this is not about black people and marginalized groups. Everybody is being abused by cops. Even as the country awaited the March murder trial of Derek Chauvin, the Minneapolis police officer who murdered GF, doubt of a conviction hung over the nation like a dark cloud. Proof of misconduct in the form of photos and video changed the national conversation on race and policing. Well, you know what? Regardless of race or whatever, we're talking about bringing the sunlight of justice to people who call themselves public servants. And it just so happens that sunlight of justice is portable and it's called a camera. And it's the best tool in our arsenal against tyranny. Blue-lined, badged, qualified immunity tyranny. Yet even video footage has rarely been enough to gain convictions of police officers. You think? Eliminating that as a tool altogether would make it nearly impossible for victims of police brutality to gain justice. Basically, what you're telling people to do is put your cameras away, bring in, turn off all the lights, don't look at what the law enforcers are doing, and they're going to get away with bloody murder, guys. It's happened before. It happens while the cameras are rolling. Can you imagine how much worse it's going to get? And to add insult to injury, they are allowed to record you with their dash and body cams, but you can't record them. And if they convict you, they'll put your name in the paper. They'll publicize where you live, what your crimes were. Voicing their concerns, the ACLU of Oklahoma said, quote, while police and law enforcement officers, like everyone, have a reasonable expectation of privacy at their job, I don't know if I agree with that, legislation like this isn't about privacy. It's about interfering with accountability. Well said. And given the lack of trust that exists, legislation like this poses a threat to necessary and continuing movement work. Well, guys, what does it really do? It really says, hey, you know that thing that I called the supreme law of the land, the First Amendment? We don't give a damn about that. Kevin Stitt did that when he signed the bill. These law enforcement officers, by the way, if you're a law enforcement officer, don't you want the video cameras rolling on you? Don't you want to give an opportunity to the world to see what a hero you really think you are? You shouldn't care. If you were a law enforcement officer, you would want all cameras rolling at all angles so you can show people what a good guy you are. What a fantastic job you do. How indispensable your position is. Wouldn't you want that? If you were a law enforcement officer and you saw this bill, wouldn't you be infuriated about it? Would you ever, as a cop, enforce this? Oh, you know it's illegal to record me, right? Anybody, any cop who calls himself a public servant should want to show the public how much of a public servant he really is. So any cop who's going to actually enforce this law, you got to wonder what kind of crimes they're about to perpetrate on you when they tell you to turn your camera off. This woman right here says, and I think with legislation like this, we can't take for granted the fact that supermajorities in both chambers are willing to pass political bills for the sake of passing them, regardless of the harm they do, regardless of the fact that they became criminals by signing this into law. Many residents have doubt that the law to ban photos or video of police wouldn't stand up in state or federal court, even with threatening intent as the motivation. Yet, by the end of Oklahoma's legislative session at the end of May, the final version of the bill in the form of HB 1643 was passed, signed by the governor, and it will already did take effect November 1st, 2021. This is outrageous and it's criminal, guys. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comments section below. If you haven't done so already, take time right now to subscribe to this channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know, and I'll see you guys in the next video.